Today we're talking about the March 19th, 2024 Olympia City Council meeting, and it was a lot of democracy going on. It was a full house and a lot of public comment and people engaging. So this is Council in 10. For the record, I'm Kellie Purse-Brossett.
And I'm Susan Grisham.
If this is your first time joining us, Council in 10 is our attempt to recap the Olympia City Council meeting that happened the night before, and to do it in under 10 minutes.
So think of it as the Cliff's Notes for City Council.
And to make it fun, we're making a game of it. And in just a minute, Susan's going to hit that gold button, which will start our 10-minute timer. So sometimes if there's something that requires us to dig a little deeper for you, so you can understand a topic that takes a little more understanding, a little more explanation, we'll send it into overtime, and that gives us a few more minutes to dig into a particular item.
So Kellie, what happens if we don't get everything done in 10 minutes?
I still don't know, Susan. we should start though. Let's get ready. You ready?
Yep.
Okay, hit the button.
Okay, so Council went through roll call, announcements, approval of agenda pretty quickly. Councilmember Cooper and Councilmember Parsley were excused for the evening, and then we rolled right into special recognition. So our first special recognition item was a proclamation recognizing Transgender Day of Visibility. And that's a day that was created to celebrate the achievements of trans people and promote their important work across the country. So council members read a proclamation recognizing this, and some representatives from Oly Trans Fam came and gave really moving statements about their experience in our community. And so Valerie Dettenwanger and Andre Chavez and Annie Monahan of Oly Trans Fam accepted the proclamations, and Mayor Payne made a very poignant statement about the transgender folks in our community, and he noted that there is no LGB without the T, and he expressed the city's support and his support of the transgender community here in Olympia, and it was an incredible moment.
It was really moving. It was one of those Jeff's kiss moments. It really was. So yeah. So also under special recognition was an opportunity to recognize the Switches On campaign. Our very own Director of Climate Programs, Dr. Pamela Braff, presented to council around this new Washington Switches On campaign, which is a consumer awareness campaign, and it's all about advancing building decarbonization through energy efficiency and electrification, because we need to make sure the planet doesn't die. There's more resources and everything you need to know about the Switches On program and campaign on a website, waswitcheson.org. That's waswitcheson.org.
So we moved from that special recognition on to the consent calendar, and there were just a couple of second readings from the previous council business meeting for approval. And then we moved on to really the highlight of the evening in many ways, the public hearing.
Right. So the public hearing, again, this is where there was a lot of passion from the community and a lot of important work being done. And the public hearing was around the work, advancing some recommendations around relocation assistance and renter protection. So it's about tenant protection. So we had landlords and we had tenants in the house to make sure that their positions, their concerns were heard by council on this legally required public hearing, because this would end up being an ordinance. And among the kind of topics that the recommendations will touch on are things like relocation assistance for tenants, junk fees, which are excessive fees, like that include like renewal notices, lease violation fees, or fees for services that aren't wanted. There's work in there around a tenant's right to install a cooling device, which is important as the climate warms, and about a tenant's option to break a lease after receiving notice of rent increases, and also about tenant screening policies. And this was presented by Krista Lenson, who is the city's senior housing program specialist, and you're going to get to hear more about her and about this topic in our overtime section.
So then we moved on to our first other business item, which was regarding the Olympia Police Department implementing license plate reader cameras. And they are going to be primarily implemented in the Capitol Mall Triangle area. And what these cameras do is they capture vehicle license plates to help curtail the stolen vehicles in our community and get them returned to their rightful owners. We're finding that there is an uptick of stolen cars being used for theft around the city, used in crimes of businesses and such. And so this is a program that will help curtail some of that.
Yeah, retail theft is really something that it really gets at for people using a stolen vehicle to advance another crime as well. So, and then council received a briefing from one of our community representatives for the Use of Force Board, and Sarah Nagy, who is one of 6 community representatives. And Sarah gave an overview of the Use of Force Board, the process, the role of the community representative in that process, and a briefing on her involvement in reviewing an officer-involved shooting that occurred in December of 2022. So just so you know, the Use of Force Board takes part in the investigation and reviews the circumstances surrounding every intentional discharge of a firearm by an Olympia Police Department officer.
And then council moved into reports. And really, that's a time for them to report on meetings and events that they've attended. And they moved to that fairly quickly. It was getting to be a long evening. And then we moved on to
executive session. And this is when the council leaves. It is no longer a public meeting. They meet with staff. And this particular executive session was about a personnel matter. And after that, we were adjourned.
Yes.
You hit the button. Woo, we did it again. I still can't believe that.
We're 2-0.
Okay, well, thank you for joining us. And if you're watching this live and you want to see the whole meeting, then the replay of the meeting will happen right following this. And you should, because it was a pretty important and interesting meeting. So you can also watch it and any of our other Oli TV programming on demand anytime on olitv3.com.
And if you want to catch a council meeting live and in person, we are here at City Hall most Tuesdays at 6 p.m. We will save a seat for you. And with that,
we're adjourned. Hey. We're here in overtime to talk with Krista Lenson, our senior housing program specialist, about the public hearing on the relocation assistance and additional renter protection, the work around the renter protections that the city's doing. It was a well-attended public hearing, and we thought that the community would like to know a little bit more about it. Hi, Kristen. How you doing? I thought first I'd like you to, if you would, just sort of plain talk what this is really about and what's happening with this.
Yeah. This there's a number of different things included in this, so it can be a little bit hard to keep track of everything. So some of the major things that we addressed in this proposal last night was about if tenants are forced to move from their unit, and that could be for a number of different reasons. And it can be when they're not expecting it and they don't have money saved up. So these are really protections that are meant to help them be able to transition to a new place and have a little bit of financial support in order to do that.
Okay, great. So one of the questions that came up during the council was, it came up in the comments like what's the problem we're trying to solve? Maybe you can talk about why we're doing it.
Yeah. We've heard loud and clear. We know that there are challenges with housing affordability and people are struggling to make ends meet. Over half of our renters in Olympia are spending more than a third of their income every month on their housing costs. So we know that, people are challenged in their housing situations and they're having difficulty with affording rent, and then on top of that there are some additional fees that they're not expecting. They have a late fee and that's charged every day that their rent is late, and they're struggling to catch up with that. So these are the kind of issues that we're trying to help address.
And I don't know if most people know, but Olympia is a majority renter
Correct.
city, right? So most of the population is renting. So I know in public engagement is super important with the city, super important with council. Can you talk about the public engagement that went into this process?
Yeah, definitely. So council has been working on renter protections now for a few years. And so we really kicked off some of that work again after COVID in 2021 and have conducted online surveys, have done focus groups, stakeholder interviews, that kind of work around these issues to really learn more from the community about what their experience is, gain their perspective, and to see what we need to prioritize as the city to respond to those needs.
Is there anything else you think that people should know to understand around this?
I know a lot is changing. We are trying to keep our website up to date with information. We want to be a resource for people, so we encourage people to look for that information on the city's website, as well as to reach out to staff if they have any questions.
Is there some place they should contact, or is that on the website?
Yeah, we now have a rental housing staff email, and so we can be contacted. There are two of us who respond, so we have an email and we have a phone number for both of us that's on the city's rental registry webpage.
Perfect. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.